Good evening, everyone. We are coming to you from the night of election night. Though, of course, when you see this, it'll be later in the week. And we hope everyone had a wonderful day and got your I voted sticker, because that's the real prize of this night. So, Donnie, we're here to talk about his latest short film out on YouTube. Well, I mean, not just his. Many people contribute to it, including myself, though I'm not on the credits. And we're here to talk about Before the Fallen Leaves.
He reviewed it after it went online. But you know what? Typically, though, Jake, he does review a lot of my films earlier on in the process before they go online. This year, it just didn't work out that way. But give Jake a round of applause.
I probably should have reviewed this one before, because then the arrow would actually hit the right elbow and stay in the correct elbow. Shout out to anyone who saw that in the film. Notice the little shift and a couple other
haters
things.
Gonna hate. Haters gonna hate. Anyways,
that's part of the fun, though.
It is. But no, I was gonna say they're not used to seeing you open up the Shield of Hope channel with your introduction there.
Yeah,
so I want to say, welcome. Well, you've been on this channel a few times, but I want to say welcome, and I like that you're taking control. We're gonna get you your own podcast coming up here in the future.
Well, I usually open up for Real Deal, so it's
true.
like kind of second nature to just open up.
But you got your own camera shot this time, though. Typically, it's like a two-camera shot. You got your own this time, so.
Yeah, well, that's because we're kind of shoved in a little corner of our workspace.
They don't know that. They don't know that. This whole basement's getting redone.
Help! I'm trapped. There's no escape.
There's no escape.
There's so much clutter. I'm cringing. Except, actually, it really doesn't
He's
bother me.
claustrophobic. It's okay.
Except, like, I'm anything but. I actually kind of like small spaces, so it's kind of awkward.
So before the Fallen Leaves, let's get into that a little bit. What are some of your questions? And I guess the first question, I'll kick off a question to you here real quick. What was your early thoughts of the film?
Well, so one question I have for you is, I'm curious about your spelling for the film. Before the Fallen Leaves. But you chose to spell leaves not in the traditional grammatically correct way. You chose to spell, instead of L-E-A-V-E-S, maybe we'll have words on screen, maybe we won't right now. You chose to go with L-E-A-F-S. Tell me, what was your decision-making process behind that? Because titles are very important for you.
Grammatically, obviously we know it's not correct. But I will say, I drew inspiration off the Canadian Maple Leafs, and that's how you spell L-E-A-F-S. And I don't really know why they spell it that way. We've had a little bit of discussion before the show on that. We don't really know why. Maybe people can just let us know in the comment section.
If you know, we'd love to hear.
But specifically, it was more for style.
Okay. And so you just kind of wanted to make
something different.
Something
that would pop. Out. And you know what? Sometimes it gets the movie talking. If somebody looks at the title when like it's just like a little tab off to the side and like it's not even spelled right, and then they click and then like the film. So maybe it's like an attention grabber draw. You know, it hooks them in first because of the bad spelling, but then they like it.
That's an interesting approach to getting some attention.
That's not the approach I want, obviously. I just want the stylistic point, but it's
interesting. But hey, if it works for you, it works for you. And if it gets people talking in the comments, that's great for the
It
algorithm.
worked for over 500 people so far, at least view-wise.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Yes.
When was it uploaded? How long ago?
It was uploaded 2 weeks. No, Thursday, 3 weeks. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So, now let's talk a little bit about the actual film itself, moving beyond the title. Or actually, you know what? No, one more question while we're on the title. So why Before the Fallen Leaves, not counting the spelling itself? Just because it's a fall-themed piece?
We wanted, at the end of the film, you see, and spoiler for anybody not watching. It's not really a spoiler, but the end credit, it was the first time we did like
Link
an end
up
credit.
In the top corner?
It's like the first time we did like an end credit scene where the motorcycle goes away, and like, and like as the credits scroll, you see like the leaves falling on the ground. I wanted it to be an emphasis like in like the fall time, and also all this takes place before the Fallen Leaves, like in one night.
Okay.
So it kind of, and there's nothing like, there's no different cuts. It's all like basically all the way through it takes you. So
okay,
that was my philosophy behind that.
All right.
I don't know if that's a good philosophy, but that, and plus it's not, it doesn't tell you much too. It's a vague title, and I think that's almost a good thing, because if I would have named it something along the line of a character, like something redemption, you would have, or not redemption, but revenge in essence in the story, you would have like thought a little bit more about it and kind of saw what was coming.
Sometimes it's good to leave a little bit of mystique in there, and you still have some symbolism going on, which is, of course, always very good. So how about we move on to characters? Because as you know, when it comes to stories, characters are one of the things that matters most to me. When I work on my stories, I often start from the ground up with the characters themselves, well, often the setting too, but setting, characters, and then I do the plot around them because the characters guide my plots. Now, what about your process here? Where did you start in developing this? Did you start with the characters, or did you start with, I want to tell this kind of story? What was your approach?
It was kind of, we wanted to work on action film, just a straight 13-minute, and I've been telling people this, picture this film as like a big, long action sequence for 13 minutes rather than just a short film in itself. But there's qualities, there's a rising action, falling action in this, and it goes up and down. So yes, it is still a short film. But in essence, it was really, and I didn't want to, I don't tell the actors this necessarily, but I thought it more behind the scenes. I was telling cast and crew, this is more like a practice for the possible Agendas film or another film that we were coming out with, the sequel, because we really wanted to get the action sequences down. So when you saw the chase scene and the running through the woods and like how it got cut together and like the effects, and we kind of wanted to make sure that when we start the Agendas 2 script, we were better in the action sequence.
You have a bit of experience working with some of the tools you're going to need for that.
Although, quick fact, we did want to shoot it all at night, but the first night of filming did not go as well as we thought it would be, so we switched to more of a sunset.
So, now that you brought it up, I of course have to ask, tell the audience about that first night of filming. What happened?
The first night of filming, I would say, we actually shot a good portion of film the first night. The problem was we wanted to turn it darker in post-production. So when we realized that we couldn't necessarily do that, we just did everything at like midday and then turned it like a sundown orange. But the first night we shot we shot out of order. We shot the last 5 minutes of the film, and then we were going to go back and shoot the scene before it, and it got too dark. We set up the lights. The lights didn't work. We almost need like one of those big blimps to overlight everything in the forest.
Like they have. We had that kind of budget,
but we don't. And everything from then on, and of course, here I am as a director, the cast and crew when it got dark or whatever, and they're like, "Well, how's it turn out?" And I'm over here like, "It's turning out great." We didn't use any of that footage from that going back, so we ended up shooting it, but we shot it at a later date. But the funny part is, I guess, and we've mastered this in Fight for Me. I shouldn't say mastered, but in Fight for Me,
we've had some practice with. Is probably a better way to phrase it.
In Fight for Me, we ended up Scott Winter, who was the boxer, and the coach were never on set at the same time. Which I don't know if a lot of people knew that, but they were never on set at the same time. So the challenge was, there was moments where I had Doug talking to Sydney, and Sydney was nowhere to be found. We went out and shot it because we couldn't get like schedules to align necessarily. So, but a lot of the audience doesn't pick up on that stuff, especially if you plan it right to the background. If you handle
the cuts right and moves like that.
So again, scheduling a little bit to get everybody on the same page was rough, but I think we prevailed.
Yeah, I think it came out pretty well in the end. I've already mentioned, so on the topic of special effects, you mentioned the driving scene. I think with the arrow there scraping the side of the car, because it doesn't actually scrape the truck that was used in that scene.
No.
I think that was one of the best effects you've had so far.
My father would have killed me.
I know. I was the driver in that truck, actually, at that point.
Trucks are meant to get dirty.
This was
spotless. And, that doesn't happen in our family. Only my car's like the dirtiest out of all of them. Everybody else takes care of things, and then I get yelled at. But
it's good to take care of things, but shouldn't be worried about getting a little bit of mud on a truck of all things. But hey, I remember I think that was probably my favorite effect you've done, as far as in an action sequence. Do you want to talk at all about the process of doing that, or is that mostly a Anthony question?
Anthony actually only did the arrow shooting over the shoulder and then the hitting of the gun.
Oh, okay. So that one's all you then.
That one took a little bit of hustle to get done with the scraping. But again, knowing that I don't work with a lot of effects, knowing that I might have to rely on myself, I do not do longer effects than what I can handle. So like when it scrapes by, it's only like a 2-second thing. So even if it was off a spark or two, you wouldn't be able to tell because it's quick motion. So that's how we kind of get away with it.
It works well, though. It worked well.
It does. Scene. So, there's not really much to say. I tracked it through Premiere Pro instead of After Effects, which a lot of people, it's easier in After Effects, but I did it all in Premiere Pro. So.
Hey, you made it work in the end. And you also now, you can do that. You have a little bit more confidence in kind of working with special effects and not relying on Anthony for it. So that's always a good thing. Building your own skill set. It allows different team members to cover for each other. So I'm glad the effects came out that well. So anyway, to kind of loop back there, so where was your starting process beyond? So you wanted to tell a story that was more of an action piece. Did you create the plot first, or did you start with the characters?
I kind of went with the plot. Again, this was written, and like agendas, I wrote agendas in a day. This was written about a 2-day period, so I didn't spend much time on it because I already knew the end of what I wanted, like with the girl and the boy just driving off into the sunset after he saves the day, and then I wanted the abusive father, and basically the lead up was like more of a family history between the father and the boyfriend.
And boyfriend's family.
So, I mean, there really wasn't, again, 3 characters and a 4th character, including the police officer, which Steve always makes a character for himself because I love Steve to death.
He's going to have a secret cameo moving forward in every piece, maybe.
Yeah, probably. We'll see.
mean, he's very good for, like, being able to be there and help with something. If we need, like, an extra for this role or that role.
He was originally, I talked to him, and because he's always been a part of my productions, I wanted him to be, like, the father and give, I wanted him to actually be the abusive father. And he comes over to, or he called me on the phone, and he's like, yeah, I don't see myself playing that part.
I don't either, so.
Yeah. But you know what, he was just playing a role, I forget where he was at, but he had just cut his hair. He's like, yeah, I had it shaggy up to that point. So he's like, I could have pulled off like the drunkard and stuff like that. He's like, I didn't have the facial hair or anything like that. He's like, but there's this guy that really wants to get into films and like be a part of more stuff. And he's a musician where he works. So enter Doug.
So that's where you found him?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
yeah, because he's a new actor to the set.
He is a new actor to the set. He said he acted in like one other college short film before, but it was nothing really big. And I'm helping him with a few music videos now for his band.
Okay.
So
was that the skateboarding one you were telling me about?
Yes.
Okay. He's working on a project right now. It's sort of, if you've ever played the old Tony Hawk Pro Skater games, it's in the vein of that with its appearance. So we were kind of talking special effects on how to make it look like one of those old games.
We're still working on that. That probably won't be ready for quite a few weeks. But again, it's only, I forget, he said it was a shorter piece for his music, so it's probably only like a 2-minute song. So it's not too bad.
Okay. I mean, I know the trial image that we're at so far.
Yes.
Looks pretty good. It's got that, it's not perfect, but it has that sort of old 90s game.
I'm working on like the rotating figure too. Like I shot it so like, yes.
Okay.
I shot it like that, but it doesn't stay in like center frame because I don't have like a track to like on it. The next thing we're going to get is like a dolly or like a
I mean, that would be so nice for like making the camera steady just for a lot of shooting, because we sometimes have issues with the shaky cam when we don't want the shaky cam. So is there any closing remarks you'd like to leave about this film, what you want the audience to take away from it, or just maybe did you learn something new about your process as you worked on this?
The only thing I could say is with this process, I feel like we shot it a lot clearer or cleaner, I would say, because typically when you shoot out of order, and you should almost shoot like every film out of order that you do. There's nothing. And plus, even if you do shoot in order, you got to go back, get reshoots and all this other stuff.
Of course.
But shooting it, other than that night trial error take, we shot everything out of order, and we knew exactly what we wanted. And I'm not one to write down like a storyboard of what like the shots and the angles, because I like getting on set and I like seeing what's actually like around there and get the feel for it.
You wing it with a lot of your work in
yes.
With your even just your filming, but you tend to wing a lot of your scripts to a point too.
Not
in that one, but
I say I like to give, for the script, I like to give actors, I don't like them sticking straight to the script at times. I give them leeway unless there's like in Visions of Truth, I made them say specific lines because they need to reference like either a gun or like something like that, so it would click later on in the film when there's flashback scene. But other than that, I give them leeway to create the characters that they want. Which I'll have Will Mosteller on. He we're working on Northstrand currently, and I think I told you, I gave him his role for his character, and he's like the first actor to write ever like a biography about his character and how he would react.
Really?
He wrote stuff back to me, and it was pretty interesting.
That's fantastic.
So he was really diving into that. But getting back to the main question of flowing a lot easier, I think that's something that actually we progressed in, figuring out like the shots we want and getting things down to more of a science, so we're not wasting a lot of time on set.
Something else just to add to that, as far as something I think you should take away and be proud with this film, is one of my common critiques, like when I look at the film after, either before it's goes out to the public or after if it's just a review, is your audio and how your audio works with the sound. And with this, Before the Fallen Leaves, your latest piece, I think your audio and your dialogue, just how it interlapped and how it sounded, was so much better than a lot of your other pieces.
Well, thank you.
It was a smoother transition. It's normally kind of short and choppy. Smoother transition, so it doesn't take the audience member out of it as much as some of your other pieces have. So fantastic work there. I look forward to seeing what you do in future pieces now that you're sort of getting that a bit more under your belt. And any closing remarks for the camera?
No, but a closing remark on your end, probably.
Okay.
Not right now, obviously, but you had sent me something via email the other day.
Ah, yes.
And if you want to leave with a hint of what that might be. So stare at the camera, Jake,
Let's
and
see
give us
what
send
mug
off.
we have. Nope, this isn't the correct mug. The one time we don't have any props in range, but there will be a certain fan film coming on the horizon involving one of our favorite franchises. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. She's looking the wrong way.
Is it actually she? Is BB-8 a she?
I think it's just an it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought
it was a droid.
I thought you said
so.
she. That's why I was like...
No, it's looking the wrong way.
Oh.
So hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Obviously, it's Halo. And yeah, look forward to that. That'll probably go up on Real Deal if we do a short film for that, since we usually keep that kind of stuff separate. But I think that's something a lot of the audience would enjoy.
And because we have Mike in the studio over here standing by, I just want to say, Mike, it was the 4th year anniversary of, it came out in theaters 4 years ago, Assassin's Creed. How do you like it looking back 4 years?
It's great.
I don't know if the audience can hear him, but he said it's great. And it still sucks. So...
He thinks it's the greatest movie ever.
He does. For some reason, he does. I'm surprised. He did like... Now, we both didn't like the film, but he did like The Rise of Skywalker, so I will give him a lot of credit to sit there through
Where
his
does
first
it
ever
rate
Star Wars film.
with Assassin's Creed?
I mean, I know more about Assassin's Creed, so I like that one more.
He likes Assassin's Creed better than
Okay.
Rise of Skywalker.
Real
as well,
quick,
so.
speak up so the audience can hear you a little bit. Wait, you didn't watch it yet, did you? I was going to ask if you liked the Witcher series better than Assassin's Creed, but you didn't watch it.
No.
All right, we'll have to get him on to watch it, and then we'll get his take. So look forward. Mike will be back on Real Deal along with Shield of Hope here soon. So
That'll round us out for the night. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And again, wherever the sticker went, I hope you got your Election Day sticker.